We're in Tallgrass Tap House for the KSO Show presented by Legacy Insurance and People's State Bank. Yeah, it's another KSO Show with Matt Hall and Logan Mantz. Just us three today, and I'm kind of excited about it.
It's the best group we could put together on a pod. Derek Young, for some reason, got this urge to go see Kai Thomas. Kai Thomas play in person. He felt like it was valuable to get back and see that again
Which
tonight.
is interesting
It
stuff,
is interesting. Derek has a schedule written out that he sent to us back in like May.
Yep.
I'm not exaggerating about what high school games he's going to on what days. And I'll say Topeka was not on the schedule for tonight. It was a flip, you could say. And DY went to Topeka to see Kai Thomas, and so it's just the A team. It's just the Young Bucks and the old Buck.
The old Buck net.
Yeah.
That's some fun with the Young Bucks. Anyway,
we got to team up on the old Buck.
I know we do.
Yeah.
For predictions all day long.
Yeah.
Let's do it. But hey, this is a different thing this week. For this preview pod of Baylor, we're going to start talking about basketball in segment one. Segment two, we'll get into the game and stuff, and then we'll even maybe split it up into a third segment and get predictions in and stuff like that. But that's the order we're going to go into. So yeah, I mean, K-State basketball, I think it's the best week to start out with basketball on this segment because, I mean, they just picked up their third top 150 guy in the class. Selton Miguel committed this week, Dale Hall.
I mean, you're the better guy to talk about it, so I'll kick it back to you. But people maybe haven't heard this story yet. I've been telling it a lot, but I tell it to make fun of myself. And I think it's just a funny Selton Miguel story. You know what I'm going to tell is, Flanders early in this process, it may be the first kid you wrote about when you started doing basketball recruiting stuff. Flanders puts this Selton Miguel story in our admin for me to edit and release. And I look at it, and it's a fine story, it's a good story, but I haven't heard a lot about this kid. I'm not going to, name names or stuff, but we have some people we can check around with to see, hey, should we run that or not, and that kind of thing. And I kind of got the sense that we shouldn't, that it wasn't a real thing, and so I deleted it out, and I said, hey, Flanders, that's great work, man. It's a good update. That's how you write one. I appreciate it. But I don't think he's a real target for this team or whatever. And Flanders is like, oh, okay, I appreciate it, Matt. You're a great guy. It doesn't bother me to delete my work out of the system and that kind of stuff. And then I think 9 seconds later, we got information that said, oh yeah, Selton Miguel. That would be worth looking at. And then I was like, hey, Flanders, that's still gone, so we can't run that one. And then 8 months later, he's committed to K-State, and Flanders was right all along. But I'll talk. I want to talk to you about it. I mean, you're the guy because you've talked about it on there for months now, I guess what have you heard about Selton Miguel? I guess as a player, first of all, for people who haven't watched the highlight film or read more than updates yet, what do you think about him as a player?
Yeah, as a player, he's a very athletic, long, I think bigger than he's listed, even a little bigger than he's listed even on his rival's profile. Yeah. He's a bulldog. I mean, that's what Bossy said on Kurtz's show. Yeah, the game, and that's exactly what he is. He's going to defend really hard. He puts out full effort with everything he does. So defensively, he's going to fit in the system nicely. Offensively, I think this is where people honestly underrate him a little bit because watching tape of his, I think he's got a good handle on the ball. I mean, that might not be the best thing he has, but he's skilled. He's very skilled. He knows how to take it to the basket. But then he might be the worst shooter in the class because Nigel Pack and Luke Kazuki are that good of shooters, but he's still a very solid shooter like you want from the wing position. And yeah, so as far as that goes, he's good. He's good at all. He can shoot at all levels offensively.
Right.
And I think he could potentially become a lockdown defender eventually in the Big 12. But that's to be seen.
The funny thing, I'll ask your opinion, is when you're the third guy and when it has a chance to be a three-man class, we talk about it all the time, in basketball especially, you're probably going to sign more than you had open. But if we're being just technical, they had 3 spots. They're full now. So your third guy, you look at Miguel, and at least I think it's easy to fall in the trap and saying, oh, man, this is icing on the cake, a third 150 guy, a 4-star guy. But if you step back and look at it, just from a recruiting rankings perspective, he's the highest-rated kid in the class.
Exactly. And that's exciting for K-State to follow up 2 really, really solid. First, Nigel Pack, where he was a little underrated before he even blew up and became a 4-star. And K-State got his commit because that's what K-State's always been really good at. But now they're showing, they can even get the guy who's the best in their class in a top 110 guy. He's like 105, I think, nationally for rivals. And, that's just, to me, something that Jermaine Henderson, I think, should – I mean, talk about him just coming into this job not long ago and already getting his first commit. I know it piggybacked off of Chester Frazier, who started that relationship, but Jermaine finished the deal, and he was always making sure to hit him up. And Selton always said K-State recruited him the hardest.
Was there maybe a reason why Selton didn't have like the big names recruiting him? I think the top 3 was like Western Kentucky, TCU, K-State. Can't remember the rest, but was there a reason why there wasn't that many big
Western
names?
Kentucky, the only school that he actually visited besides Kansas State, which, I mean, does go to show that Western Kentucky was probably his second team. It would have been his second choice. But A&M and TCU did come in late with their offers. I do think it is a little interesting because he's a kid with a lot of potential, and he's talking with him personally. He's a very good, nice kid. He's always been pleasant to talk to. I think he just got underrated a little bit as far as more of a raw talent than really all the skill being there. He has kind of everything at his fingertips, but nothing really sticks out as like an elite shooter, an elite guy who can do anything elite yet, but it's something that he has the potential to do later on.
Sounds like a guy that Bruce Weber is going to work with him in the offseason.
Absolutely. He's going to fit in this defensive system so well, I think, and then offensively, he is going to be the icing on the cake, because I do think Kazuki and Nigel have a little more skill offensively as far as shooting goes and stuff like that. But, man, Selton brings a whole different kind of skill set to the table that's going to be, I think, exciting.
People are going to look at this class, and if they're looking for something to be concerned about, and it's a reasonable question, and say, well, if they stop here, there's no bigs there, that kind of thing. Yeah. I will tell you, you can, as a fan or as a recruiting guy or whoever you are, look at it as program building. The last class, Deshaun Gordon, who's really a 3.
Yep.
Antonio Gordon, who's really a 4.
Yep.
4 or 3.
Yep.
Montavious Murphy, really probably a 4. I mean, so those are pretty forward 3 and 4 heavy class last year.
Yep.
So now if you go 1 and 2 heavy, and there's situations, of course, in modern college basketball, a guy like Miguel can slide out to the 4. Kasuki might be 6'6", and who knows?
Exactly.
But I'm just saying, I think they probably still want a big. Is probably something you would, I guess, tell us. But in general, I think the roster is being built pretty well right now.
Right now, yeah. If they ended their recruiting efforts, which I don't think they're doing by any means, I think they're still out there looking for a big man. I think they'll continue to look for a big man all the way up until May 20th, which is the final date of the regular signing period. So you can expect K-State to be on the recruiting trail for this class. Obviously, now I think since they have 3 guys, you might even see more updates every now and then about 2021 guys in what's coming up next. But man, they're still going to be looking for at least one big. And, I mean, if they get a good opportunity to even get a 5th guy in the class, it might not even have to be a Rondell Walker, who probably isn't going to be at K-State, but he's talked about the most right now. Later on in the recruiting cycle, they could end up with another wing even after maybe adding a big down the line.
Absolutely. I mean, same with basketball. I think we got to talk. We had our first media availability. Well, you've had a number of media availabilities. We had our first big one as a media group last week. We have another one that's coming Wednesday. That's K-State's Media Day. 2 Wednesdays from now. Maybe it's 3 Wednesdays from now. It's actually 2 from now, so don't get too scared. 3 from now is Big 12 Media Days. There's a lot going on. But I want to talk about uniforms, gosh dang it.
Let's do it.
About football. We got basketball. I want your initial reaction, and I'll argue with you guys about my thoughts on them. On the uniforms, you can be honest. Be honest. Flanders first. When you saw them, what do you think?
I think it's a better refresh of what they kind of used to do, but with elite number fonts, right?
Yeah.
Is that what? Yeah. The number font really is, I think, makes the jersey. I think everything else is pretty standard, but also looks really clean. The K-State kind of looks like they used to always have them. I mean, they've always kind of had the same look of the K-State across the chest, but numbers are amazing, and I love the trim. I love the gray trim as well.
I like the numbers as well. Thought they looked a lot like the women's jerseys.
They do, and it's funny. I saw the women's jerseys first. I think Mason both sent them to us or something, and I actually said, "Hey, I don't hate those. I kind of liked them." And then the men's ones are pretty darn similar. One thing, if you're hearing this and worried about it, they will not say Wildcats on the back. I'm telling you.
That was silly question.
I understand, but it will say their names on the back of the jersey. It won't say Wildcats, and also. I'm being sincere. I don't know the exact number, but I'm told they have at least 3 more uniforms we haven't seen in maybe 4. And I'm a big fan. I really, really like them. I'm excited to see what they're going to be like. The shorts, I see people not loving the stripe, and I kind of get that. Maybe I wouldn't have it, but it doesn't ruin it for me.
No, I think it looks really nice. And, I mean, to me, it's a situation where they're coming off of Elite 8 and a Big 12. I think this is the time to revamp the jerseys and make them a little cleaner. I can't wait to see I mean, lavenders have always looked nice. Do you think they modify the lavender jersey at all? I mean, they always look nice, but who knows?
I don't want to steal from Scott Wildcat, but I will. And I'm just saying what he's already said. He's seen them all, I believe. And he says that there's one that's his favorite K-State uniform he's ever seen. I don't know if that's a lavender. I don't know if that's something completely different. But he says they have one that, he's a harsh critic. He
That's
doesn't,
exciting.
He said it's the best K-State uniform he's ever seen. I'll be excited to see what that is.
I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with a jersey with the Power Cat in the very front with the number under it. Kind of look like what
I'd like that.
NBA teams are doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I feel like even Iowa or something has
Michigan
like a
and I don't dislike it. They just had the logo right above the number. I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
And they kind of have that jersey style, the real thin, strap over the shoulder.
It looks really nice.
Those schools have. So yeah, I think it's possible.
But Logan, I mean, how was it to meet with Montavious and Mac Mayween today for the first time? I mean, I feel like we kind of got some information out of them too. But take me through that first experience talking with those guys.
Yeah, Montavious looks like a really athletic guy, and he's got his head on his shoulders. He's a very intelligent guy, knew what to say.
Yep.
Really enthusiastic about the upcoming season and really humble about what he needs to work on. He talked about wanting to upgrade his post moves and how he's learning from Mac. And then talking about Mac, I think he has room this year to get a lot better. He's talking about shooting the ball at a better high percentage clip. Sounds like he's making a lot better upgrade to his post moves.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he could be a real leader of this team coming up.
My biggest takeaway from it was kind of, I almost thought.
I was going to cut in and say, we just had Wildcats galore walk in here. We have Keenan Garber who walked in here and is eating now.
How about that?
There was a bunch more that walked in behind him. I can't remember who I saw come in. Joe Hall.
It's a busy time
Joe
here.
Hall standing outside.
At Tallgrass,
so have to wait outside
if you're in Manhattan and not at Tallgrass, you're missing something.
I mean, we're not just feeding you a line. Every Friday we come here, it is packed, and there are always, 6 to 8 K-State
I know.
people. I saw Will Jones in here. It's a good crowd. I'm sorry, back to basketball. I apologize. It was a time-sensitive drop.
It was. Well, my biggest takeaway from meeting with Montavious and Mac today, Montavious kind of made it seem like you would expect, how in 2K they have the position that they play first.
I know exactly
right there.
What you're saying, yes.
Montavious is going to be power forward center number 2.
That's what I wondered from reading it today, yeah.
And Antonio will be power forward, small forward number 2.
Now, I will say, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I don't know if I said it on this pod or somewhere else, but I was talking about basketball and the roster future. And for the first time in the last month, I wrote, hey, it is possible that Monty is a long-term 5. We'd never talked about that. And I'm not saying he is, but you guys were around him. He could end up being body-wise similar to McCollum Wayne in 3 or 4.
Absolutely. Well, he could be like a Dennis Rodman and still grow in college. That's what he's talking about.
He said he's
still growing. So,
which he was super surprised about too.
He's probably a full 6'8" right now, I would guess. You guys were around him yesterday. But
so if he's still growing and he's still he isn't even he's big because he's in the K-State system. He's already gotten a little more girth, but he's going to get even way more bigger than that.
No doubt about it.
So. That's exciting stuff.
It's going to be fun, though. Like we said, we've got another availability 2 weeks from now. You'll see stuff from Flanders and Logan all the time on the site. Like I said, Montavious Murphy today, McCollum Wing coming up soon. Is the favorite part of your guys' job transcribing those quotes? Is that the best,
when Logan asked me if he could do that, I was like, no, dude, you don't want to do this.
Yeah. It's a nice man of him, though.
It is. And then he did it. And I was like, wow, man. And he did it quick, way quicker than I was going to get to it.
It's a good skill to have. We'll have, a lot more basketball, of course, to talk about coming up every week now, really, on the KSO Show and going forward. We'll have to have basketball-only pods. Maybe we have Young Buck-only basketball pods. Probably not. I'll be honest, I didn't feel good today. And I'm like, man, I could just ask them to do it. They do a fine job. And you guys would have done a fine job. But I'd have been so scared to listen to it.
It would have been.
You guys would have went down. Would have been amazing. There's no doubt about it. And
that would have been. It is going to happen
one day. Today's not the day. I gotta get out there and see how it goes. So maybe we wrap it up and go to another segment about football.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's enough. Go check out the site if you want to see more basketball stuff happen and football as we move on. People's State Bank, Legacy Insurance, Tallgrass Tap House. Check them all out. That's segment 1 of the KSO Show. We're back for segment 2 inside Tallgrass Tap House. This segment still presented by Legacy Insurance, People's State Bank, and Tallgrass Tap House. Harry's and Bourbon and Baker, all 3 really great places. Did I just see a Joe Hall sighting?
I told you he was outside there in segment 1. And you were flustered. No,
I was flustered.
He was standing outside, and I said, "Why does he got to wait outside for a table?" And then
and
you're
then,
like, "Oh, it's
and then
Tallgrass,
once he
it's
actually,
crazy."
and Brat is with him too. So that's did you see
he's
Brat?
a big
Did you?
guy. I didn't.
I'm glad I could.
I put my hood back up over my face.
Yeah, he's
Brat
a big
is
guy.
on his way in. Joe Hall, yeah, he's a big guy. Surprising
if
he played.
If he comes on the show again, we're gonna pepper him.
We
with
are.
recruiting questions. Like, I don't care.
I don't
Last
care
time
either.
we let him come on. We let him yell "Go Cats" and everything, and let him off the show.
I know. This time he's got to make this basically a premium episode.
This time we're gonna ask him stuff if he tries to finagle his way on there. There he is, right there.
Look, he's running away. He's running the other way,
They
isn't
got
he?
a big group they're bringing in.
Yeah, they do.
I think the whole
see
team's
Deuce.
coming in.
I see Deuce.
Hey, that's Christian Moore. That's Deuce Vaughn, I believe.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, it's about 30 recruits.
This is a fun time right now.
The Tallgrass Tap House. So, if you're listening to this live, which is only possible if you're like to the table behind me, come on in and see every K-State recruit. Here at Tallgrass Tap House.
If you, this is exciting stuff. Taylor Bratt, right behind him, all the K-State recruits. I mean, not all of them, but yeah,
I mean,
a good
it
number
seems
of them.
Holy cow!
So yes, you saw Christian Moore. We saw Deuce Vaughn.
I don't know. I mean, there were at least 3 more.
At
And
least
if I go
3
back
more.
and read DY's notebook,
I know,
I'll
that's
be
the
able to
thing.
identify who they all
You
were.
go on the site, you look at
But-
all the guys that are on there. They're here to right now.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this live,
Right. Correct. Across 2 watts of airwaves.
But anyway, I mean, it's all good because we're talking K-State football, and we got a game coming up. Baylor, 3-1 K-State. They did fall against Oklahoma State, their first Big 12 game of the season last week. But Dale, isn't it exciting that turn a new leaf? You now get to invite a Baylor team that's 4-0 at home, but it's a winnable game still.
Exactly. I mean, that's not to bury the bad news and tell you not to be disappointed about Oklahoma State, because it was a disappointing loss, no doubt about it. But that really is the belief, I think, amongst the program and hopefully the fan base, and at least the people I think around the program is you have a great opportunity this week. Like you said, Baylor's a 4-0 team. I'm a little surprised they're not in the top 25.
Yeah.
You know, they're receiving votes in both polls. I know they played a bad non-conference and had to hang on against Iowa State at home. But they're a good team. But like you said, it's a winnable game. I mean, it's a game where K-State's a slight favorite at home in this one. If you're able to get back on track and get the win, all of a sudden you're 4-1 going into another off week. And things are going to feel much like they felt going to Oklahoma State. But it's not going to be easy. While we say winnable, we mean that, but it doesn't mean easy. Baylor's a good team, and it's going to be a big challenge.
Biggest news I would have to say from this week is John Holcomb announcing that he will transfer, and we'll kind of go position by position, which we usually start with quarterback.
Yep.
John Holcomb, I mean, he is the number 2 guy, it seemed, and he saw some snaps against Oklahoma State, is now moving on.
It's an interesting situation. I mean, I'm not going to be dishonest with you and tell you that we're shocked by this. I think I threw this on the board when we were walking to our car Saturday night in Stillwater. I said to you guys, well, he won't be on the team next year. And it wasn't a knock on John Holcomb, who I think is a very nice kid. He's been good to me personally. He's a great athlete. I think he can be a good player. You just got the sense, that they're kind of going out of their way, I felt like, to play him at different spots and get him on the field because they feel like they need to. But I think there's people around John Holcomb who don't want that. They want to be on the field at quarterback, period. But the timing is weird, of course, because people are going to see the 4-game thing and think, oh, 4-game red shirt. No, that's not what it's about. He didn't have a red shirt. He spent it last year. So whether he had said he was going to transfer out after 1 game, 4 games, or 10 this year, he wasn't going to have this year of eligibility back. So it's weird in that sense. K-State's coaches admitted to us they're surprised. I think Courtney Messingham said literally he was surprised. Colin Klein very respectfully didn't want to talk about the discussion and why it came to be, but I don't think it's a program-altering decision. I don't think John Holcomb, the path that he was on, and this is not revisionist history or sour grapes, because, again, I'm a fan of John Holcomb. He was probably never going to be the starting quarterback at K-State, and that's where we're going from there. They'll move on. They still have the guys they like at that spot, of course, and we'll go from there.
I mean, when he committed to K-State, you got to think.
I have a Jeep, too.
He gave such a bad whatever it was on the Bosco boys. Game day deal, that was horrible.
He's the worst at it.
What did I give? What was bad? The whole
Tell
The game
him on
day,
there.
the primer.
Grant Flanders primer was horrible.
God awful.
Oh my gosh, we
Well-
gotta not let him have that again.
You gotta talk to the Bosco's boys about that.
I'm jogging in the morning, on the Thursdays, and I get it on there. It's like 5:30, and he's let me just read off the script. I said, come on, dude. Come on.
Hey, I mean,
exactly what I was going for.
he was trying to be prepared, I
Says
guess.
that he's got to go park my Jeep. Okay, go move my Jeep. Go park it. It's right out there around the corner.
It's already parked.
Oh, no, it's in the illegal
You can just keep those. Just keep the keys now. Just keep his keys. Seriously. Yeah. All right.
Turn down the purple key.
That's a beautiful. Hey, you didn't ask him one recruiting question. You didn't get.
I know, what the hell? Oh, man, and there he goes. There he goes with the look of disappointment the whole
he got
way.
us again.
I always think it's funny when I'm driving down the road and he's driving his golf cart just down the road, just like, all right, dude.
Yeah, man. Something else. I didn't hear your primer on the Bosco Boys, but I'm sure it was awesome.
It was pretty.
Brad thinks because he's on the show one time that he can like criticize how people do.
Oh,
on
Mike
podcasts.
McCoy spotting as well. I love seeing that. But yeah, no, I think, that's something we haven't talked about yet, too. Mike McCoy is in those jerseys, by the
Sure
way.
is.
How
Like
about
Mike
those
McCoy's
clean-looking
next head
jerseys?
coach at K-State, personally. I love Mike McCoy. You know?
I do. But
There's so many people.
But anyway, it was pretty bad primer. I don't know. I was kind of. I went into it with the niche of going.
Yeah. Thank you. So much.
I mean, I read through it 1 or 2 times, but I still went into it going, I'm just gonna read off this and go with it as I go. And sure enough,
I'm sure it
Brad
sounded
thinks
fun.
it sounds horrible. So
Hey, but credit, shout out again to the Bosco Boys. If you didn't catch that, of course, Taylor Bratt listens to the Boscos on his morning jog. He also made sure to tell you he goes on morning jogs.
I know.
He worked that.
I know. Well, if he went on a morning jog this week, he could hear me talking basketball recruiting and basketball stuff on the Bosco's Boys, which was probably still god awful in Taylor Bratt's mind. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But no, let's talk about these jerseys. The white helmet with the white pants, purple top. I mean,
all I can do is praise him, man. I mean, I don't know how many times I sat on this show or on the board or on the whatever and said, hey, it's real simple. Just take the exact uniforms as they are and switch the gray to white. That's all you have to do. And they'll be fantastic.
Yep. There goes the Jeep. There it
That's
goes.
what they did. Was he parked illegally out there?
I'm guessing he was. I probably could have gone out there and stole his Jeep from him for a good little hour or so. Come back. Hey, is the podcast done, boys?
The world doesn't revolve around him. I mean, I think they're fantastic. I love every detail about them. You guys have probably heard me gush about this at this point, but I think they're perfect. Perfect.
Go ahead.
I just thought they're pretty much the same, other than the helmet.
No, I mean, I can't spoil it because I said I wouldn't, but that's not all they're going to do this year. I mean, there'll be other things. You'll see some things that you're like, there'll be things you haven't seen yet. Because in your head, you're already putting together where there could be all whites because I can take that white helmet, that white jersey, and the white pants and have all whites. You're right, but I'm not counting that as a new thing. There's things you haven't seen yet that are coming out. So
that all white look would look so. I mean, I've been someone saying that all white look would look so good. Remind me of Star Wars, Stormtrooper. But anyway, let's get back into talking Baylor coming up this week. Tell me, I mean, Skylar Thompson had great.
Let's start back at QBs.
Yeah. Great first 3 weeks, and then dipped a little bit at Oklahoma State. Obviously, he wasn't on point, but how much does that have to do with Malik Knowles not being in the lineup?
Yeah, a lot of things. The production dipped significantly. There's no way around it from the first weeks to week 4. And Skylar Thompson didn't play perfect. He didn't play great. I don't think he would even tell you that he played particularly well in that game. But it's a game where you look at the stats and you say, oh my goodness, he couldn't hit anybody, he couldn't make any right. That just wasn't the case. I mean, watching it live, you can tell if you're really paying attention. And sometimes on TV, I shouldn't sound so condescending. On TV, you don't see the field as wide as maybe a person up in the press box does. But there weren't places to throw. You're going to find exceptions. You're going to find throws he missed, absolutely. But for the most part, that was a game. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back because I'm wrong more than I'm right on this show.
I don't know about that.
But last week I sat here and talked about, man, those corners at Oklahoma State, they're absolutely good enough, to cover K-State's guys one-on-one. That's before we talk about Malik Knowles being out of the game. I mean, I'm not shocked that it was really hard for K-State to throw the football. I'm surprised it was that hard, but I think you're right to be concerned about K-State's passing game right now. I don't think it's about Skylar Thompson, but whoever's fault it is, it doesn't matter. The passing game needs to get better.
And how much was that? We'll get into Baylor here in a second, but how much was that to Oklahoma State having probably the best secondary in the league as well?
I think a lot. I mean, if you look at PFF numbers, Baylor gets very similar coverage scores to Oklahoma State, almost identical, but they're not as good. They hadn't played as tough of a schedule as Baylor. And Oklahoma State has 2 guys who I think can play in the NFL. Maybe you'd be relatively high picks at corner.
Yep.
It's just a different group. That doesn't mean Baylor can't give K-State problems, and they probably will a little bit, but it's not the same terrible mismatch that last week's was. You're going to find, and I'm not trying to be the big mean guy who picks on K-State's receivers, but it's going to be harder to find a tougher mismatch for K-State in the league this year than their wide receivers against Oklahoma State's defensive backs.
So, I mean, my question, I guess, now is what's Skylar Thompson got to do to beat this Baylor team? Obviously, a different look defense somewhat than Oklahoma State. What do you see from Baylor defensively for what Skylar's got to do?
I think for what they're going to have to do is find ways to scheme the ball out of Skylar Thompson's hands quicker. I mean, if Baylor or Oklahoma State or whoever it is going to drop 8 in coverage and basically double across the board or double 3 guys and play 2 high safeties or whatever it is you're going to do, it's going to be really, really hard to throw anything long developing no matter how well your offensive line plays. So I think K-State's going to have to call more crossing routes that are short, that are going to be hard. They're going to be tempting to not cross because you're not getting a blitz, so you're not going to burn them that way. But you've got to find a way to get the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker. And then like you guys would say, I'm sure too, and K-State would say too, they're going to have to run the ball better. They ran it better than they thought or were thinking they were against Oklahoma State. I think this week they'll be more patient with it. I think if Skylar Thompson's thrown into secondaries that don't know what's coming or they're afraid of the run, they're going to have some chance to have some success. If it's a game where K-State's down 2 scores and throwing an 8-man, deep at the backfields over and over again, he's probably not going to have success throwing the football.
James Gilbert, really all the running backs for K-State struggled to get anything going on the ground. And like you said, it's tough to get things going it's tough to get things going either or. If you're not running the ball well, it's going to be tough to pass. If you're not passing the ball well, it's going to be tough to run. So everything didn't go right for K-State against Oklahoma State. But for Baylor, I mean, what do you see from guys like James Gilbert and such?
I think it's going to be a better matchup for them, which is weird. I think Baylor's better defensively overall than Oklahoma State is. But they don't have, again, the elite talent in the secondary. Their front seven's better. Their linebackers are very experienced. All those things would concern you to think it's going to be harder to run against them. But I just don't think that. I think being at home makes a difference. I think understanding what K-State learned last week makes a difference. Baylor's going to play a lot of 3-man fronts, and that matters. I'm not trying to say it doesn't, but you hear 3-man front, usually a 4th or 5th guy's either on the line or has his hand down. It's still going to be an aggressive defense against K-State's running game. I think it's going to take persistence. I don't think K-State's going to come out, play one, and rip off 17 yards and then just do it every play the rest of the game. But I think they have a better chance to have success running against Baylor than they did against Oklahoma State.
Who do you think right now is the most dangerous pass catcher for K-State? Tight end, wide receiver, with Malik Knowles out. Obviously, I mean, good news is he might not be out for a long time.
That's the thing, yeah. I mean, if Malik Knowles is healthy, it's him. And you know that. I mean, and Malik Knowles is a guy who I talked about a week ago and even up to a few days ago saying, man, there's no way he's going to play in this game, to where now I don't know. Maybe that's a realistic possibility that he does. It sounds like it's a realistic possibility. But it's him. If it's not him, it's Jordan Brown who didn't make a play on a ball last week when he had a chance to. I'm a big fan of his. I'm not trying to criticize, but that's what happened. But if you take those 2 guys out of it, I don't know who to pick.
No, it's really a tough deal because possible, like with those 2 guys out, you really don't know what's going to happen, and especially with Schoen.
Well, Knowles. I'm sorry to cut you off. But Knowles, we're saying out.
And then with Schoen, I mean, what about a guy like Nick Leonard? We saw him get a nice catch last week, but another one where Skylar threw a nice ball, but it was a really difficult catch. I mean, some of these guys can't really have the athleticism to make some of these tough catches.
That's the thing. I think Nick Leonard's a good athlete. I think Dalton Schoen's a good athlete. And of course, relatively speaking, compared to me, they're great athletes. But you watching that game, Dalton Schoen had to play, and I'm stealing this from a fan. He had a really good gift showing it, where he's even with Oklahoma State's corner at the 30-yard line. And at that point, on a one-on-one go route, you're like, man, I like that matchup when my receiver's even with him. You watch the rest of the play, and Schoen gets beat to the ball by their defensive back. The Leonard's plays a really nice play called 2nd and 1. They get one-on-one. It's a well-thrown ball. But again, there's 0 separation created between Leonard's, and it's probably a safety. I'll be honest, I'm not sure who it was at that point. And that doesn't mean those guys can't separate. We've seen both of them make plays in the past. We've seen Dalton Schoen have 200 yards almost against Texas. We've seen Nick Leonard's get open down the seam. Doesn't mean they can't do it, but it takes a lot of things to go right, and it's hard to do against a defense that's expecting it and has good players back there.
And Skylar Thompson doesn't come off a guy to me that can make tight passes every throw. They're going to have to really scheme to get play action, to get guys open.
What do you think about when guys say, why don't we see more Joshua Youngblood when Malik Knowles is out?
I mean, I default to a really lame answer, and I know you're going to hate hearing this, but it's the truth. I think the coaches know why. I mean, I know it's not an answer, but I think if they thought, I think they've proven, right? This isn't the old days. I think they've proven if they thought Joshua Youngblood was ready to run that route tree understood his responsibilities, was going to be sure-handed and do the right thing, they'd be playing him as the number one wide receiver if he was the best one.
Yeah.
I know how good he looked on jet sweeps and reverses in that game because he looked fantastic. I agree with the general fan belief that he needs the ball more. I don't disagree with any of it. But I will default to it some in saying this staff is very willing to play young guys. They've shown that. They'll play guys who weren't seen, before the season as the best guy at a spot. I mean, they're playing Evan Curl over Josh Rivas. That was a surprise to a lot of people. They'll do what they think's, right. If they thought he was ready to run all those routes and play that position that way, they'd be doing it. And maybe this is the week. He's still just a true freshman. Who's played 4 games at K-State. Maybe he becomes that guy this week. I would just leave it at that, though. I imagine he hasn't shown yet an ability to run all those routes, to run the route tree K-State wants him to, and to be ready. But that could change at any time, obviously.
You brought it up in that spiel a little bit. How good has Josh Rivas been? I mean, so far, is he not the...
He is. If you look at that, K-State's offensive line, if I was going to have a bit of a hot take, I didn't think was that bad against Oklahoma State. Even K-State's coaches weren't very proud of their O-line, and again, I just said they know better than me. I don't think they were that bad. Like Kleiman said, I think 7 out of 8 first down runs got 4 yards or more. That's good. Skylar Thompson was seeing a lot of 3-4-man pressures, but didn't get a lot of pressure. I thought the line was okay. And then Josh Rivas is a fascinating guy because he still doesn't start. And again, PFF grades, do what you will with them. But he's played well over 100 snaps this year, and it's a 91.4 PFF grade. That's slightly higher than Skylar Thompson for best on the team. K-State's always talking about wanting to have 6 or 7 linemen that can really play. They really can with those 5, and then Josh Rivas. And you get beyond that, they like Noah Johnson, they like Christian Duffy. I think he's been an interesting group. The offensive line, if I was going to go back and argue with people who thought a unit wasn't good, I would say, you know what, they were okay at Oklahoma State. I don't think they were a big part of the problem, personally.
Yeah, no, I think I would agree. I think they did their job as far as things go. Just took some other things to happen against Oklahoma State, but what do you see? Does Baylor show any good defensive linemen that you might think that they might struggle with, or do you think they could still continue on their good success so far?
I talked to the Baylor Rivals guy on, I don't know what day it was, Tuesday or something like that. We talked a lot about that. He thought a lot of the more impressive personnel was really in the linebacker group. I looked at their stats today. They do have a linebacker who leads their team both in tackles for loss and sacks, which is kind of rare. Usually you don't see a linebacker leading in both those categories in today's game, but that was their leader at that position. It was a senior for them. They don't have an A.J. Green in the secondary. They don't have a guy who you just say, oh, my goodness, this is an all-conference performer. When we flip to offense, they're going to have 7, 8, 9 guys that I could talk about and say, boy, better watch for this guy. But their defense, I think, is just very team-based. They're tough. Matt Rule is not overrated. He's a very good football coach. And their defense was pretty dang good. I mean, they held Iowa State to 0 for almost 3 quarters of that game. They got hammered in the fourth quarter, gave up 20. But, I mean, they played well for a while. They'd held Rice to 3 through 3 quarters, I believe. Not that Rice is a great team.
Yeah.
This has been a good defense this year, and I think K-State's going to have a hard time scoring against it on Saturday.
And they do a lot of stunting, like Oklahoma State. K-State saw. And then talk about linebackers. They do a lot of delayed blitzes.
Yep. That's how they end up with them numbers.
Logan Mantz coming in with the fire take. Last thing I want to ask you before we flip to the defensive side of the ball. What do you? Who's shown you the most from the fullback tight end position through 4 games?
I mean, I don't want to be a prisoner of the whole PFF thing. Jackson Dean has the highest score of anybody in that group at a 79.9 on about 31 snaps. I mean, it's probably still Nick Lenners. I don't think he's, been, and not that he can't still be this guy. Like, I would have been shocked if he was an all Big 12 type, tight end, and he hasn't shown that yet. It's still him. He is the guy more than Gammon and more than Jackson Dean and more than Logan Long and that kind of stuff, who could make plays in the passing game and still be a good run blocker and still play a fullback. So he's been the best one at that position. But another guy I just want to throw out there, I shouldn't say Blaze Gammon because Courtney Messingham 2 weeks ago said he grades out better than all of them every week. Logan Long, I think, has been really good, though. Number 85, a guy that you don't notice a lot because he's not going to go out and pass routes or anything like that. But I think he's been very good. They have a lot of options there, but it's what we're talking about. In the passing game, out of all those names we mentioned, Long's not going to be a threat. Blaze Gammon's really not going to be a threat. Now the band is here because it's Friday night.
Here we go.
And I'm not going to try. You just sit back, enjoy the sounds of the band for the next minute or so. Maybe I should say something because I don't know if people know what's going on. The band has walked in, lots of recording going on. Probably not an accident that all the full recruits are here while the band is here. Now they're about to start playing this song. It's a now. Now will be quiet. You'll figure out what's going on. chocolate bars. I don't have any money. Pride comes in here. They just take over the gosh darn show like it's about K-State or something. It's about us. The media is the important people. It's all about the journalists. They don't want to hear about the band and the recruits and Taylor Bratt and Joe Hall. Those guys
they want to hear our golden voices come through the.
They'll hear the band tomorrow.
They'll hear the band tomorrow. No, it's great. Right?
But in all seriousness, that's the perfect transition from offense to defense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically cut it in half right there.
Right, it is.
Just like that. And let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. I think, and the consensus, I think, is K-State played pretty well, especially considering the circumstances of how the offense played last Saturday. Is that the way you feel?
I do. I mean, we're going to look at the stats and see that Chuba Hubbard ran for 1 million yards and Tylan Wallace had a great game, and that's all well and good and true. And you should be concerned about the explosive plays K-State gave up. Scotty Hazelton in it, it's like, you're right. But, we love to overcomplicate things, me as much as anybody in football. I mean, it does come down to how many points you score and if you could win the game because of that. Giving up 26 against Oklahoma State and Stillwater, we'll see how many teams do that this year.
Yeah.
I doubt very many do. It was probably, quote-unquote, enough to win the game with a typical offensive performance. So I thought the defense was good. It doesn't mean it was perfect. I mean, there was things we saw. I mean, there's chinks in the armor for sure. But I think it was a good unit. And, again, that's a tough offense they're going to play. Baylor, we'll talk about it, has maybe more guys that are scary, but none as scary as Wallace or Hubbard or probably even Spencer Sanders.
And Baylor is going to try and isolate Mims, and that's one big play guy that Baylor has. K-State really needs to find a corner to, maybe shut down Mims.
Yeah.
But they also got other players, like you're talking, on their offense that can stretch the field. So K-State's just got to be on their toes and not allow the big play.
Absolutely. So take me through. I mean, how good has Trey Deshawn been? I mean, going in from last year where I think he had an incredible year last year, coming into this year, has he been one of the better defensive players for K-State this season?
No doubt about it. It was weird. Like, I was holding my phone there right back in the Nats, and, like, it's so loud in here. Like, my phone was, like, vibrating, like something was going on my phone, but there was nothing going on. It's just the noise in this place.
I know.
He's been very, very good. I think K-State's defensive line as a whole has been. You look at that game, it's easy to say, well, 300 for Chuba Hubbard, they're not any good. And they weren't very good in that game. But Trey Deshawn's been very consistent. Jordan Mitty, we've had a lot of praise for.
Yeah.
He wasn't as good against Oklahoma State, if we're being totally honest, but who was? I mean, a lot of guys weren't. I could go down the line and say that. They weren't as dominant there. I mean, I'm not trying to dodge your question, but I want to bring up Wyatt Hubert because, oh my gosh.
Absolutely. He's been the best player on that line.
Right,
yeah.
Until the lightning delay, and they came back and decided to put a tight end, a left tackle, and a running back to chip on him. Until that happened, thank you. I mean, he was unblockable for K-State coming off the end. So I think the defensive line has been good throughout this portion of the season. It had been probably great up to Oklahoma State. Now it's back to good. Now we're going to see against a Baylor team that does have experience in the offensive line, that does have experience at quarterback, that has 3 different backs they want to use, has experience at receiver. I mean, they're going to be challenged again by this offense for sure.
What are your thoughts on Charlie Brewer? I think he's obviously made a big step from last year to this year. And even at the end of last year, I think he showed some really good things. But when he did play K-State last year, we were unimpressed. But since then, I feel like he's been a solid quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's the thing. We talk about this all the time. As sports fans or sports media, you get an impression of a player based so much on how he looked against either the team you're a fan of or the team you cover.
Absolutely.
And you just say, well, I watched Charlie Brewer play. And now Baylor won that game. He had some numbers, so maybe I should say he was really good. We were not impressed with his awareness in the pocket, his poise, his accuracy. I didn't think he was very good in that game. Now you look at his stats this year. Again, they haven't played anybody good except for Iowa State. But he hadn't thrown a pick yet against 10 touchdowns. He's right around 67% for completions. He's averaged, I think, 243 yards a game through the air. So he's been good. I think you have to give him credit. He's a better player than I give him credit for.
And then who do you have at that running back position for Baylor? I mean, how much do you think you see them being able to actually run like a Chuba Hubbard, who is an elite talent and showed that last week? I don't know if Baylor has the type of running back system. I mean, they might have 3 guys that can run, like you said, but not a guy like Chuba Hubbard, right?
No. Some familiar names, though. Tristan Ebner, I think, was over 100 yards against K-State last year. He's kind of a third down scat back type that they used a lot in that game. John Lovett's been around for a while. That's a name you'd remember for Baylor. They're going to use 3 or 4 different guys. Yeah. Charlie Brewer can run it around a little bit. He averages 25 or so yards a game rushing. They have a second quarterback they like to use who can run the football. I should take that back. They have used some. They'll use Charlie Brewer. I mean, like, unless he's hurt or the game's going wrong or something like that. But, yeah, they have a number of guys on that offensive unit. None of them, like you said it so well, none of them are Chuba Hubbard. Or maybe even L.D. Brown, the back of Oklahoma State, we didn't see much of. But they have a number of, legitimate, Big 12 caliber running backs, an experienced line. And Matt Rule wants to play a similar style to K-State. We haven't seen Baylor play as physical as maybe they wanted him to over the first 2 years, but he wants to, and they're going to try to be very similar to K-State, I think, offensively in this game.
I think one area where K-State showed to be pretty solid last week defensively was turning over Spencer Sanders twice. How about Elijah Sullivan's pick, and what do you think from the linebacker crew from that game?
I thought the linebackers were, again, it's funny for a game when you give up 300 on the ground, but I was impressed. I thought the Eli Sullivan play was, of course, very nice. Daquan Patton had 2 or 3 tackles where I thought, man, he does not have an angle to get to this guy, Spencer Sanders or Chuba Hubbard, and he got there, so I was impressed with that. I think it's a group that would be well served to get Cody Fletcher back. He's not as good as Daniel Green or Eli Sullivan or Daquan Patton, but we were looking through snap counts, and Daniel Green's played more snaps than Daquan Patton by 1. It's not a bad thing necessarily, but that shows how much they're having to lean on just 3 guys at that position. So I think that will be helpful. I think that group will be fine. I don't think they're going to be out-athleted by Baylor's running backs or anything like that. But it'll be the group you talked about in front of them. Can Trey Deshawn, the D tackles, keep them clean where they can make plays against Ebner or Lovett or whoever's carrying the ball for Baylor, because those guys are good enough to beat you if they get to the second level untouched.
Yeah. And then, I mean, let's get to you brought up Mims, Logan, about how he's a playmaker for Baylor.
He's been there since Logan was 9.
I know, it feels like he's been there forever. Who else does Baylor feature that as pass catchers that they can really go to in this game?
Yeah, another name, he's not one of their big feature guys, but Chris Platt is still there. Chris Platt's been there for literally 6 years now at Baylor. But Denzel Mims is the big play guy. He's not Tylan Wallace, but he is a good receiver. I don't know who to compare him to, if you haven't seen him play. You've seen him play. He's been there forever. He's a big, fast athlete. He reminds you of those Art Riles track star receivers. Like, he's going to be the guy who hurts you. Tylan Wallace hurt you with speed, with ball skills, with route running, with all those things. Denzel Mims is more like, can he catch a slant and then break a tackle and go? They do have options in the passing game, and that's a big reason why Charlie Brewer's been so efficient, because they don't have to just throw out Denzel Mims, but he is the one guy more than the rest of them, as Logan brought him up, who you got to be worried about in that receiving core.
And then Tylan Wallace, obviously, he made some major plays. But besides him, I mean, K-State did really well against the pass against Oklahoma State.
It's funny, Spencer Sanders started out hot in that game, both as a runner and a thrower, and Tylan Wallace did too, and you thought, man, this will be one of those games where he throws for 400, and Tylan Wallace has 13 catches, that kind of stuff, and it really stopped after that. Now, K-State, as Scotty Hazen will tell you, kind of picked their poison. Yeah. They decided to roll some extra coverage towards Tylan Wallace, and they understood it could allow Chuba Hubbard to get out the game a little bit, and it did. But I think you're right. I think an underrated thing is after that first sequence, once they gave some help to that to A.J. Parker, who deserves it. It's hard for any great corner you could debate whether A.J. Parker's great or not. He's a good corner, for sure. But it's hard for any corner to stay with a receiver in today's game of football with the rules as are. So he needed some help. He might need some help on Denzel Mims, too. But, yeah, I thought they played fine after the first quarter and a half or so against Spencer Sanders in that Oklahoma State passing game.
And then who impressed you in that K-State secondary? Obviously, Darrell Patterson showed you that he has the ability to go in there and make a play. That was a major play that gave K-State an opportunity in that game. He has some hope.
Yeah, you look at that defense, you got to give him credit, because the two turnovers you brought up, Elijah Sullivan won and the Darrell Patterson won, those were back-to-back possessions, I believe, that allowed K-State to score 10 straight and get it to 23-13 with 7 minutes left. So I don't know that they were back in the game all the way, because you're still 2 scores down with 7 minutes left.
KSO rocks!
Hey, that's very kind of you to say. I got rattled on that one. I'm just trying not to impress him with my talking skills now, because I'm nervous. That was really nice to hear. But I think the point I was trying to make, though, is on that interception when Keegan McGee had that pick, I'm sitting by Derek in the press box. You're down on the field, like, working and stuff. And I say I'm counting off, like, how many reserves are on the field. I'm like, oh, and I'll get some of them wrong. But I'm like, oh, McGee, Alexander, Ball, Bronson Massey, and I'm walking through it, and I said, oh, I'm going to go the other way and tell you how many non-reserves are on the field. There was only 3. They had 8 reserves on the field for that play, and that whole series when Kevion McGee picked off that pass.
Darrell Patterson,
thank you very much. Darrell Patterson picked off that pass. I mean, now that you've made me remember the name right, it was interesting that Darrell Patterson went in ahead of Kevion McGee in that game, because McGee played well at Mississippi State.
McGee's been nice.
Patterson played nice at the end of that game, too, but it was interesting that when they went to number 2, they went to Darrell Patterson, who had the interception, not Kevion McGee. Either way, they had so many reserves out there, I'm going to get it confused. I thought he played well. I thought Denzel Gouldsby had a couple plays where Chuba Hubbard was running open field, and I thought no one's going to catch him. And Chuba had to make a cut or something to slow him down, but Denzel Gouldsby stayed with him and ran him down. I thought the secondary, kind of like the offensive line, wasn't great. People are going to say, oh, they were bad because they lost the game. But I think if you really go back and watch it, they were probably okay.
Yeah. Last thing I didn't ask about Baylor before we get into some special teams talk, and then we can maybe wrap this segment up, is what about Baylor's offensive line? What do they feature on that line? And that's basically.
I know they feel experienced. I know when I talked to the guy from the Baylor's rival site, he said, now they don't have, it's not 5 seniors, they're not experienced as K-State, but they do have a good amount of experience in this system. They have played for Matt Rule for a while. They had enough depth that they had a couple of offensive linemen who played 2 years ago as true freshmen under Matt Rule that they think they could even redshirt because they can get away with it. Now they're not sure. They're not sure they can get away with that. But the point I'm trying to make is they had enough depth that they felt like or feel like they could still take 2 guys who they played 2 years ago, now redshirt them as juniors. So that's usually a sign of having depth in the offensive line. Not a great unit, not a dominant unit, but it's not going to be a weakness or some group that K-State's defensive line, which is pretty good and is pretty experienced, can just expose as being frauds, because they're not frauds. They're good players.
Interestingly enough, even though they had their best game special teams-wise against Oklahoma State maybe all year, they still come out with the loss, whereas their first 3 games they struggled with special teams. But it's got to be nice to see that is turning to the direction of maybe some consistency every week.
No doubt about it. Blake Lynch had a couple of difficult, well, at least one was a pretty difficult kick he knocked through, and he had to make both of them, and he did that. Devin Enkel is good. Ty Zittner is going to redshirt this year, I believe.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fascinating to see. There's a lot of value in having a guy who can just kick the ball through the end zone on kickoffs, and Ty Zittner did that on Saturday. That was good. Coverage units were fine. I can't think of a big return for Oklahoma State. You didn't see a lot of big plays in the return game. Malik Knowles being out probably had a lot to do with that. But, yeah, if you walk through it from just a cleanliness perspective, by far, I think their best game on special teams. No muff punts, no missed kicks. It was good. Again, it was, the term good enough to win a game we get in big debates about because technically it's not good enough if you lost the game. But from what you would have hoped to get for special teams and defense, you probably got what you wanted from those two units Saturday in Stillwater.
All right, let's wrap this segment up. Next segment, we're going to get to some picks of K-State and Oklahoma State. Look around the Big 12.
That guy's shirt says football guy's guy. I just like that shirt. That's funny to me. You know?
And then we'll get to maybe some other fun games around the NCAA.
Heck yeah.
Segment 2 wrapped up. Segment 3, the third and final segment of the KSO Show, brought to you by Legacy Insurance and People's State Bank, along with Tallgrass Tap House, Harry's, and Bourbon and Baker. All great places. You should go check them out. Because, yeah, they sponsor us, and we got to listen to I have to say the schmuck thing again. Yeah. We screwed up the last.
We did. Well, probably because you were cursing, and they kicked us off the air.
Probably, yeah. Audition could tell I was cursing, and if it's audition and it's recording for the KSO Show, they know no profanity is allowed. This isn't the Bosco's Boy podcast. But anyway, a couple of guys talking on the podcast today. Logan Mantz, Matt Hall. With this segment, we're going to take you through the Big 12.
Let's go top 25.
Top 25, then the Big 12,
then K-State.
Then
That'd
K-State.
be a natural flow,
I think that is a good natural
Working
flow.
from less interesting to most
You're right,
interesting.
exactly.
Because if they stop listening, the money starts rolling in.
Exactly.
We gotta
Absolutely.
keep it on.
So there is a game going on right now that I just want to touch on. UCF, number 18 in the league, taking on Cincinnati. They're up 3-0 early.
That's on right now.
Yeah, early in the first.
Yeah.
I'm picking UCF. They're up 3-0.
They are. Did you put some money down on that?
I did.
Saturday, October 5th, we have for top 25 games Utah State at LSU. I mean, that game's pretty much Joby, man.
Heisman Trophy winner.
How about
maybe
him?
OM Jalen Hurts. I don't know.
How about him being like a top 5 or top 10 NFL guy, Joe Burrow?
He's looking great out there slinging it around. Joe B and that LSU offense.
It's amazing.
I sincerely mean it. I'm excited for LSU Bama for the first time since like 2004.
Me too.
Like, I'm finally excited to watch. And I'm not a defense hater. I'm not. I'm an old fuddy-duddy football guy. But I do get tired of the 14-3 LSU Bama scores. So let's see some action there. LSU Bama, get me to that game.
Two high-powered quarterbacks that I'm excited to see go at it. You've never seen it in that matchup where both guys have players that can ball out. I'm excited too. Next matchup, top 25, is number 8 Wisconsin, inviting in Kent State. We can just move on with that one. Wisconsin's playing well.
Yeah, they are.
Number 13, Penn State. They're playing a Big Ten team, Purdue. But Purdue's 1-3, not looking great through the first 4 games.
They got drilled at home by TCU. They lost at Nevada. They're not very good. They've got some injury issues. Penn State, right?
Number 12, Penn State.
I picked Purdue over TCU. I'm not getting burned again.
No, you can't do that here.
Never trust Purdue again. They're done.
Number 4.
I'm just kidding. I don't hate Purdue.
We got our first ding, 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 ding. Our first matchup of 2 top 25 opponents this week. It's still going to be a boring ass game. I don't even know if I can say that.
What is going on? I mean, you can say it, but I don't know.
Woo, that's
like you didn't curse at the Boscos and you have to force it onto our show. Now we're going to be a TVMA or
explicit
14 or whatever.
Yeah, put that explicit.
Yeah.
I love it. Number 14, Iowa, headed to number 19, Michigan. I don't know if I'm going to watch this game.
Stinks. Give
They
me the
do.
Hawkeyes.
Give me the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, give me the Hawkeyes.
4-0 Hawkeyes,
Yeah.
3-1 Michigan. Psh, they drop out of the top 25 this
Get
week.
him out of here.
We'll go to that Big 12 team here in a second. But number 7, Auburn, taking on number 10, Florida. Maybe the best game of the week. Number 7 against number 10, top 10 teams.
I'm not totally convinced that Florida's not a fraud.
Ooh.
So give me Auburn in that one.
Going to okay.
Yeah.
I'll take Florida, the home team here.
Oh, boy.
Both 5-0. I mean,
even better about it now.
Yeah, I feel great about my pick.
I'm just disappointed that game's during the K-State game.
And that is
too bad.
It is too bad that 2 top 10 teams and it's not a night game. It is a little interesting. Bowling Green headed to Notre Dame, number 9 in the country at 3-1. Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean Irish for sure.
Yeah,
Chris Lowry likes the Irish. You notice that?
I have,
On
and
the
I don't
Twitter and
like it,
stuff?
Coach.
Yeah,
I don't like it one bit.
yeah.
I guess Notre Dame's one loss is to a really good Georgia
Isn't he
team.
from like Indiana or something? Like Coach Lowry?
Yeah, it makes
That's
sense.
like home for him, I think.
I'm sure it is. Here we go. Number 3, Georgia headed to a trash team, Tennessee, 1-3. Huh.
More like trash I see instead of Tennessee, right? Right, guys, right? Georgia by a lot.
Yeah.
Now
Georgia.
maybe the best 4-1 team in the country. Number 25, Michigan State headed to number 4, Ohio State 5-0. I don't know, man.
There's a few things I'd be more excited about happening Saturday than Lewerke going into the horseshoe and leading Sparty over the Buckeyes.
I know. My friend texted me, said, "Hey, Michigan State going to beat Ohio State? Not with Lewerke under center.
Like,
no, sir."
No, I will take Ohio State.
But give me the Spartans.
Ohio State in that one.
Give me Ohio State.
Give me the Spartans to go into Columbus. And
I tell you what,
take
Dwayne Haskins, some people I really trust, like their quarterback evaluation thought he would be just a garbage NFL quarterback. It's too early to say he is, but he had a pretty rough debut, and now they're playing Colt McCoy instead of him. I think Ohio State seriously upgraded at quarterback. I mean, like Justin Fields is having a great year.
He is.
They kind of did Haskins dirty, but we'll not get into that.
I mean, they did. I mean, but like, I don't think he's going to be good in the NFL.
Me neither.
I think he's
going to be, yeah.
Telling him at halftime you're going to go in and start.
He had 3 picks. I mean, I don't know. Either way, Justin Fields is really good. Ohio State sneaks by Sparty.
How about SMU, number 24 in the country, taking on Tulsa
with their Dot City uniforms?
Who's 2-2. I mean, SMU inviting in Tulsa, I think that sounds like, was that the first, what league is that again? An American? Is it the American or something?
Belt,
the Pac Sun Belt? I don't know. But yeah, 5-0 SMU. They beat a TCU team a couple weeks back.
SMU is going to roll. You know who SMU's quarterback is? Do you know off the top of your head?
Can't remember.
Shane Buechele from Texas. Remember that?
Yeah. So, that's interesting. That is interesting.
Very good. They have really nice uniforms that look like the Dot City Superstar K uniforms, and they say Dallas in cursive across the front. SMU, I like SMU.
They've done some good things. Don't they have a Chrome helmet that they've brought out before?
Chrome, man.
I know Chrome is kind of mad, but Cal, 4-1. They must have taken their first loss recently. Going to Oregon, maybe the best team in the Pac-12 according to the AP. Number 13 in the country, 3-1 though. Pac-12,
I don't have
excited
a strong
about.
feeling either way. I would take Oregon. That's probably still because I just thought Cal wasn't good headed of the year, and I haven't totally adjusted to that yet. But I think Oregon is a better team, and I think Oregon will win.
California's played a little spoiler in the Pac-12, haven't
they? Are.
Yeah. Pac-12 in general has been kind of
the whole Pac-12 spoilers.
Just spoilers.
You can't all be spoilers, Pac-12.
I know.
One of you has to be good enough.
I know.
To have somebody to spoil.
But AP still loves to rank them high. Number 15, Washington, 4-1. Going to Stanford, 2-3.
So boring.
So boring, yeah. And then to round out the top 25 games, we really did go from boring top 25, and we're going to finish with the exciting game.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Doing great. Thank you so much. Boise State, number 16 in the league, in the country. They're 4-0, headed to a bad UNLV team, 1-3. So Boise State keeps it rolling.
They offered Nate Matlack, K-State committed a scholarship. Boise State did. But he's not going to go there, but they are going to beat UNLV. I think Nate Matlack's going to be an exciting player for K-State eventually. There you go. Dynamite news. Let's go to the Big 12. That's breaking news here. To start us off, number 6 Oklahoma headed into the tough environment. What's the line in that game now? 32 going towards Oklahoma, headed to Lawrence to take on 2-3 Kansas. I mean, like, they might be up 32 in the first quarter of that game. Like, Oklahoma is going. I mean, this is the biggest mismatch I think the Big 12 can produce. And OU's still seeking revenge after that that they didn't shake Baker Mayfield's hand. I feel like it. I got OU and the boys. It was kind of funny how KU's win against Boston College the other few weeks ago got people excited about, West Virginia and KU could be exciting. They lost that game, and then now they just got hammered by a TCU team. They sure did. Just hammered. They look as bad as, you take the BC game was a great win for them. There's no doubt about it. If you take that out, now BC has struggled. They look as bad as any other. Do you think Lincoln Riley goes hurry up offense to go up 65-0? And I wish he would. I want to see him try to score 80, but I bet the final was like 58-21 or something. Yeah. Number 21, Oklahoma State headed to Lubbock. Texas Tech 2-2. Texas Tech's kind of been up and down. Could they surprise? I just think without Alan Bowman, they haven't looked very good. They didn't look even great when they had him against Arizona and we're losing that game. I like Matt Wells, but I think Okie State goes to Tech and wins.
Okie State.
Yeah, Okie State all the way there. I mean, Okie State, I think, is the most impressive team behind Texas and Oklahoma. So, yeah, I mean, that's why it's also exciting for K-State that they got past that team, and now they have winnable games besides Texas and Oklahoma. TCU headed to Iowa State. Iowa State, man, they've struggled. TCU hammered KU, maybe showing that they have more. Dugan maybe could be a guy for them of the future. What do you think of that game?
It's a very, very interesting game because, must win, such a cliche sports term, but Iowa State better win this game, right? Is it in Ames, I think?
Yep, and they have the line going their way.
I mean,
3.5.
I think Iowa State will win. I still don't think TCU is particularly good. I think the SMU loss, one not a bad loss, shows kind of who they are, and I think Iowa State's better than them. But if Iowa State doesn't get this one done, I mean, forget about strive for 9. Like they better wish for 6. At that point, because they have to beat TCU at home, and I think they will.
I think Iowa State honestly should have beat Baylor.
Probably should have.
They had a couple shots, at least in the first half. They had 3 times in the red zone, didn't get a single point.
And they still took the lead in the fourth quarter of that game.
Yeah, so I'll go Iowa State. I feel like they'll bounce back.
I'm going to keep picking Iowa State until they win one, probably, because I just continue to pick them. I heard they wear those black uniforms that you hate a lot now. Don't I don't hate them. You're right.
I mean, they're fine. My beef
but no, I get it. I get the beef.
You got to put your color somewhere in the uniform. I don't care if just the Big 12 logo was like red for Iowa State.
That would be kind of cool.
It would be kind of cool.
It would
be. Put your color in there somewhere, and they don't have it in there at all.
That's a good point. I do agree. Maybe a little smidgen. That Big 12, put a red Big 12. That would be hot. Yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd make it pop for sure.
Say, okay, good uniform.
Yeah, and Big 12 would love it too.
They would.
Number 11, Texas, headed to West Virginia. 3-1 West Virginia. Obviously, they haven't looked super impressive for a 3-1 team this year, but.
Yeah, I think if there was, I'm going to pick Texas. I think Texas is going to win. If something really surprising was going to happen, this would be it. It's a long trip. West Virginia's been better since getting drilled at home by, who was that? Not NC State because they beat them. Missouri.
Let me go look. Missouri.
I think Texas will win, and somewhat comfortably, but if there were going to be a surprise, it'd be this one.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'll go Texas, and I don't know why this is on ABC National Network game.
Because they're like me. They're like, maybe a surprise, they know.
Interesting. It is this week. I mean, not great matchups across the board, but not one night game for the Big 12.
Yeah, I don't love it when, I don't get into the whole media rights and ESPN Plus stuff because that's not I'm not, I don't have any say in that stuff and whatever. But yeah, man, I don't like the weeks when it's like 2 11 o'clock games and 3 2:30 games.
Yeah.
Like, come on, spread your games out, man.
Yep.
Let us all enjoy it.
I'm with you on that.
Love the Big 12.
I know.
All day.
Jiminy Christmas. Gosh.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to swear.
All right, calm down.
Here we go, boys. It's time for the game of the week in the Big 12 and across the nation.
Number 1 in the KSO power rankings for the game of the week.
Baylor, 4-0, not ranked yet in the top 25, but been pretty impressive. Under the circumstances, headed to 3-1. Kansas State. Give me a prediction. Give me a guy to look out for. Give me why K-State would win this game. I'll start with you, Dale.
I wanted to predict this game to have neither team break 20. Like, I think it's actually possible. This could be one of those kind of games that somebody wins at 17-14, that kind of thing. I have K-State winning 24-21. I think it'll be an extremely competitive game. I think very low scoring, especially for a Big 12 football game. I think James Gilbert's going to get more carries in this game than he's gotten in any individual game this year. I think he goes over 100 yards. I think it's a nerve-wracking, grind it out type win for K-State over a good team at home, but I think they get it 24-21.
I think there's a lot of things going for K-State in this game. You're back at home, new jerseys.
New uniforms, yeah.
I know.
You have a chance to bounce back. You're facing a similar defense that you played at Okie State.
Yep.
But I don't think K-State wins this. I got them falling 31-21.
Oh, heel turn from
I love it. I love having someone on
full heel turn.
I love having someone on our panel. So, full heel turn. How about that?
Yeah, I got killed on the message board when I posted it.
Hey, you should.
You absolutely should.
You can't stand K-State, clearly. I mean, I would hammer you.
But in K-State, you're not on ESPN Plus anymore, so that's another plus I didn't have.
It'll probably happen again this year.
It'll probably happen again.
But I think Baylor has just too many athletes on their team. I think they're a little bit over the curve on rebuilding than K-State is.
They are. They're further along. It's a good pick. They are further along than K-State in this process.
To me, I think Baylor's with being 4-0, it's still been quite unimpressive to me. Their last 2 weeks.
Only Big 12 team in the country not to play a P5 in the non-conference.
I know.
I said only Big 12 team in the country.
Yeah.
What a dumb way to frame that. Only Big 12 team not
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
Baylor barely won at Rice, 21-13 2 weeks ago. Iowa State almost pulls it off. Not a great-looking Iowa State team through 4 weeks. Almost pulls it off. I just think K-State honestly hammers Baylor. That's what I think. I think we got three different kind of things here. K-State losing, Dale saying that K-State's going to barely win. I think K-State hammers them 28-13. I don't know if that's hammering. I think
that's a hammering.
You know, it's for K-State in a Big 12 matchup with its 4-0 team coming in. I think they win 28-13.
Hey, didn't we pick last week? The last game, didn't we all pick K-State?
Probably, yeah.
And then
it didn't work out.
And then the Mississippi State game, we
split 2 and 2.
The Young Bucks picked them.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't split.
Yeah, but we have yet to try young guys picking against K-State, old guys. So this is different.
This is different.
This isn't the same. It's the reverse of Mississippi State.
It is.
But I mean, we're going to try things. It's early season. You try things. You find out what works for you, and then you go with it. You know?
Exactly.
We're building too right now.
Did you say who's going to be the player of the game?
James Gilbert.
James Gilbert. Did you say yours?
I say Mims for Baylor.
Mims for Baylor.
Boo.
And then I think I'll go defensive side of the ball. Give me Trey Deshawn. I mean, for some reason I'm kind of stuck on Deshaun.
You are stuck on Trey Deshaun.
I think he showed he had one play where he just seems to be a really good defensive tackle who knows how to get in the backfield both in the passing game and the rushing game. So I think he flusters Charlie Brewer and he makes Charlie Brewer look like he did a year ago against K-State. Just the mediocre quarterback that he is.
Hopefully. Because he won last year against some Flanders.
I know. Well, you're right. That's a good point.
I'm on the same page as you.
But you're on the same page. That defense last year for K-State was, not the same as this year for the Wildcats. So that wraps us up. Logan Mantz, Matt Hall. We had a good time at Tallgrass Tap House.
It was an awesome time.
It was a lot of fun. 3 segments, long podcast. Thanks for sticking with us through the whole thing. What's one thing that they can tell people, though, or tell specific people in their life?
There's this thing, so if a business is trying to grow, sometimes a good way to do it is word of mouth. Word of mouth is a great way to grow a business. We're very happy with
send a letter.
We could send letters. We could do that. But I would think
we could send
just
faxes.
more direct. Who reads letters and faxes anymore, guys? So let's cut out the middleman. Don't do that. Then what would you just do?
Tell your friends.